10% of Australians don't actually know their income.
60% of people don't know what their debts are. If you don't know what cash flow you've got, you don't know what cash flow you're saving, every $10,000 of credit card limit equates to reducing your borrowing capacity by about 40 grand. Today's environment is so much around immediate gratification, delay the impact. Surrounded by social media, the pressure to keep up with the Joneses. I'm prepared to sacrifice and not have that.
I'd suggest this for anyone trying to save for a deposit. Welcome back to Brick to the Future. I'm Cam McClellan, and I'm here with Michael Beresford, long-term friend and business partner. Boss, how are you?
Hey Cam, thanks for having us back on.
No worries. It's been a while since you've graced us with your presence, mate.
Always happy to take up the invitation. Looking forward to it.
No, that's right. This topic's come up because you've been in the media recently, and specifically with some of our clients as their rent investors, and just talking through their story on how they got started and some of the challenges. So I want to talk today about how we get started, but you're telling us a stat before, which is really surprised me, that 10% of Australians don't actually know their income.
Yeah. So our team every day are talking to people that are curious about how they can get started in the market, or how they can grow a portfolio, and 10% of them don't know what they earn. Even more shocking than that, 60% of people don't know what their debts are. Can't actually articulate that. So if you're thinking about how you get started, it's pretty critical to understand how you can have borrowing capacity to get in.
Yep.
Even more importantly, the big blocker for people is how do they come up with the deposit?
Yeah.
And if you don't know what cash flow you've got, you don't know what cash flow you're saving, far less you don't know what cash flow is actually going towards servicing the debts that you've got. What's good debt, what's bad debt, what don't you need, what can you sacrifice on, all of these kind of things. Then it's going to be a long battle uphill to be able to start. So that's why we thought we'd talk about it today. Been really topical, as some of our clients have been in the media. We've been getting a lot of inquiry around how these people started and what do we need to know. Yep. Looking forward to unpacking it today.
No, it'd be good. And specifically the clients in the media, millennials who are rent vesting currently, so they're investing but renting in a suburb where they want to live, so it's a cool suburb. Yeah. But the journey for them getting started, I think the first part, if we break down what a borrowing capacity is, that's really the core of what how people get started, because you need clarity on that, and it's what your income is, including earned income plus any rental income from any investment. But to get a deposit together is the other part you need. Yeah. Getting that deposit together is the hardest thing. And if we first of all look at some of those stats you were talking about not understanding your income, not understanding your debt, which 60% sounds huge, but it doesn't surprise me with the types of different debt that creep into people's lives. So I want to talk through some of those, but then I want to give people, listeners today, a strategy so they can have a really clear picture on where they are at the moment, what they need to cut out of their life, the time frame they need to do it for, and that should get them started in the property market if that's what they choose. Right. Yeah, we good with that? Yeah. All right, so let's talk about income. So 10% of people don't understand their income, and this comes down to what they earn, how much tax they pay out of it, any super contributions, any other employee money that gets dragged out elsewhere, so your HEX debts, and so we're leaning into some of the debts and those sort of things. So break down an income on what some of the things people should look for and how they attribute that to a budget, because that's what we need to start breaking into.
I think that's the big gap is if people are not understanding what's coming in and what's going out, then the first place to start is a budget to understand that. Yeah. And I think a lot of people associate, at least in my experience, a budget with they think it's restricting lifestyle because it's a dollar by dollar allocation of money to certain buckets and what you're going to spend. The bad news for everyone is that's exactly what it is, and that's exactly why it's effective. Because as long as you've got the financial discipline, it's amazing what can be accumulated over just a few short years. But from an income perspective, there's obviously the income that you earn. It's even fewer people understand how much tax they pay compared to those that understand the income that comes in. So, you could say, what do you earn? Let's say 100 grand. How much tax are you paying on that?
No idea.
Right. So straight away, that's the first thing. The income is not 100K. The income is what's the 100K minus the tax, because that's actually what you've got to work with. Okay, and then from there, you can start to work out, well, what are my living expenses? What am I paying in rent, for example? What's my goal? How much do I need for my deposit? What's the time frame I want to get there? Where's my money currently going? What are the changes that I can make? Have I got a side hustle? A lot of people these days are doing, part-time jobs or second jobs on the side to be able to boost that income.
Yep.
The ones that do it really effectively are putting all of that income from that second job towards their deposit.
Yeah.
The ones that are doing it not so effectively are going, oh, cool, I can have a better lifestyle, and I'm just spending the extra. Spending more than what they earn. So, very simply put, it's understanding what has to go out, HECS debt. It's understanding things like what impact your borrowing capacity that you're not even thinking of.
Yeah.
You ask people, have you got a credit card? Yes, we'll get your opinion on credit cards in a second. What's the limit on that? Oh, I don't know, whatever the bank gave me, right? Here's a guideline for people. Every $10,000 of credit card limit equates to reducing your borrowing capacity by about 40 grand.
Yeah,
so if you've got two $10,000 credit cards that just got set up because the bank offered them to you and you didn't really need them, and you don't know if you use them, don't even know if you've got them still, if they're open, straight away there's an $80,000 impact that you might even not be aware of.
So if your current borrowing capacity is 500,000, well, it could be close to
600,000. Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
So I think it's understanding all of those things and looking at what you've got, what liabilities or potential liabilities you've got, and then understanding what impact that has on your borrowing capacity.
No, I think it's much harder. And look, people might look at me with my bald head and good looks and go, well, he's a boomer, but I'm not. I'm Gen X. So I saw Nirvana live, which is obviously hitchhiking up to the showgrounds in Sydney. Millennials nowadays have it a lot harder than we do. So I'm not going to sit here as a Gen X and say it was harder when it was my day. It wasn't. There's so much more clickbait and opportunity to spend, and
social pressure.
Social pressure is a huge one. There's a difference between really needing something and wanting something and having a second version of wanting something. People think that sacrifice is having a want and just getting the second option of want. That's not sacrifice. Not going without. That's true sacrifice.
So I think the biggest challenge for people that have grown up in the current environment, they don't know any different.
Yeah.
So we can sit here and reflect and say, hey, well, remember when it was just credit cards and you just had to have some discipline on your spending and and those kind of things. But for people that have grown up in an environment surrounded by social media, the pressure to keep up with the Joneses, everyone's life highlight reel sitting on Instagram and feeling that that's the life that you've got to have. It takes real courage and understanding and discipline to say, hey, I'm prepared to sacrifice and not have that. And it might not be quite as cool, but if you can buy a property and it goes up by 100 grand in 12 months, the benefits can be really strong. Even stronger over the long term, because we all know that the first one's the hardest to get, and from there it gets a lot easier. But it's also an understanding, like today's environment is so much around immediate gratification, delay the impact. Buy it now, there's Afterpay, there's Zip, there's all of these things. I don't even know. I struggle to find time to watch Netflix, to be honest. But you got Netflix, Stan, Amazon Prime, Disney, whatever, plus. And if they're all at $10 to $15 a month, then there's $2,000 for the year. Very, very quickly. That today's millennials or people trying to get started in the market are probably just accepting as life as normal.
Correct.
That we kind of know are discretionary items. So that's probably a really helpful tip for everyone. Look at where your expenditure is going and what can you do without for a period of time, even though it might be a stock standard part of life.
So here's the practical tip. Understand, first of all, what your taxation amount is. So you understand really your income. Then go through your bank statements for the last 3 months and go through and write down all those just subscriptions, first of all. And then write down all your utility bills, because you've got to have, with rent, water, power.
Essentials.
Your essentials that you need to have, and prioritise them. Put them in there. I do need a roof over my head. I need power. I need water. I need gas. All your utilities, and then start to put in your subscriptions that fall into they're not the needs. They're the wants. Yeah, the absolute discretionaries. I did this. Like you said, I've got every single different subscription. I just turn a couple off every now and then. I scrap Stan and I scrap Paramount, and kids didn't notice. It was just gone.
Well, what was the thing you did with Hannah, your eldest? That was a great example of how you can get some control on it.
So Hannah got her first job and there was just packages coming constantly. So I made a deal with her, and this is a really good one for people. I'd suggest this for anyone trying to save for a deposit, and do this for the entirety of the period of time that you're saving for a deposit. And that is, so what I did with Hannah, I said for 3 months, I said, I'll give you $500 if you don't buy anything online for 3 months. And her savings went through the roof. It was insane because she was just, clickbait. There's fucking packages coming fucking everywhere. It was insane. But she learned a really good lesson. Now she straight away went back to packages coming constantly, but she's now 18. She's had jobs since she was 15 years old, and you can see her spending and her saving has definitely drastically changed. So her savings increased, her spending is reduced. So it was just a bit of a period of time. But for anyone, I would suggest one thing that they must do is block out any online shopping, including Uber Eats. So if you need something, go out and get it. Now, my kids are horrendous for Uber Eats. Felicity and I go out. All the kids decide that that's the night they get Uber Eats, and they all order from different places. But the amount of money that goes out, people just get used to it. It's click, 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 click. So to cut out savings, what's the classic one? So I was talking to one of the girls in here earlier, and it was what's the cost of wear? So the cost per wear. So grabbing a dress and it's $1,000, so the cost per wear is only $500. Bullshit! It's fucking $1,000 dress you're buying. You know what I mean? Don't justify it with bullshit. Exactly. So.
Well, that's a good one. How big does the wardrobe need to be?
Yeah, well,
How often do you wear stuff?
Mine's 4 black t-shirts and some black jeans.
Oh, we know. 5 different hats, one for every day of the week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's what you need and what you want. So the practical is write down all your must-haves, all your discretionary spending, and then go, how hard can I cut out my discretionary spending to start with? And what does that, if I equate it on a monthly basis, increase my savings to? And how sooner does that get me to my target goal of my deposit? Mm-hmm. Then you start getting into your needs or into your must-haves. So you rent. Start looking at it hard and going, for a period of time, could I move back to mum and dad's house? Mm-hmm. Could I move in with 6 mates, which is what we were living with 6 of us down in Elwood in a house, and rent was bugger all. We had a fucking great time too. But the savings are massive when you put it in there. So you need to look at all those hard things and go, for a period of time, could I really sacrifice and cut back on every bit of expenditure possible? And then that's going to mean the period of time when you sacrifice is shortened. Yeah. And that's what we want to get people to, which gets you into the property market faster, which means less deposit because the prices aren't going up.
Exactly. Yeah. I think my 4-year-old, the property investor, has been an amazing driver and influencer on people getting started in terms of how to invest.
Yeah.
I remember reading a book. It was after I'd started investing, so it wasn't like I kind of needed the tips in it, but so much of it rang true, and I learnt that I've been applying the lessons learned from The Richest Man in Babylon.
Oh yeah,
even though I didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
The one key takeaway: save 10% of what you earn as a minimum.
Yeah.
And what it talks about is the majority of people will get their income after tax, and they'll go, right, well, I need to spend this on my wardrobe, and I need to spend this on Uber Eats, and spend this, and I'll try and save the bit at the end.
Yeah.
This is about flipping that.
Yeah.
Before you do anything, even before you pay the rent.
Yep.
Right, 10% of what you you earn goes into a savings account.
Yep.
And we know about the power of compound growth, obviously, but the way that those savings compound, and human nature is very quickly, after a month, new behaviours become habit.
That's right.
So it's just about breaking that cycle. Working really hard to resist the temptation, create good habits, and then reinforce those good habits with a bit of consistency. And you can do a lot, over a 12-month period. And
those habits stay with you for life. So, mate, thank you very much for coming in. You've been listening to Brick to the Future. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and we're going to bring you another awesome episode very shortly.